Hello everyone and welcome back to De-Influenced, where my goal is to expose influencers for the lies, the scams, the cheats, the whole 9 yards, and try and get you guys to think critically before spending your social media currency. Because honestly, I think it's time to deplatform those that don't deserve it and give voice to those that do. And I want to help you guys in that journey of figuring out who does deserve it and who doesn't. Today, we are going to be talking about a little bit of a different topic. And we're going to be talking about this whole restock with me kind of niche, I guess you could say. And we'll talk a little bit or a lot of it about how it could be problematic and seen as problematic and cause harm. And that's not to say that this type of content is necessarily harmful. It can be harmful if you're not aware about what's going on, if you're not aware about kind of like the behind the scenes of what happens with influencers and recording and stuff like that. So I wanted to take a peek. Well, actually, let me tell you this, guys. I had recorded a video, not for this subject, but I had recorded a blind reaction to DCP's expose exposing how much the Dougherty Dozen spent last year. And I lost the everything, the whole thing. And I'm sad, but it's fine. It's fine. It happens. This has been quite the learning experience. We've had quite a few technical difficulties along the way, but we're getting there. Hopefully this time I have my setup set up properly so that things record properly so that we can actually, hear stuff and stuff. So yeah. But yeah, so today we're going to, we'll talk a little bit about what this niche is. We'll look at some video examples and stuff like that, and we'll re-examine the DCP expose video, because I think it's really important to look at the whole picture and why these types of influencers can really affect people's mental health, especially in today's day and age, with the economy being the way it is, with inflation in Canada at least being at an all-time high, right? These overstocking, overconsumption type videos and restocking type videos can be really harmful on people's mental health. And I don't think that the content itself necessarily is harmful, because it's not. It can be very relaxing, soothing. People like to watch it. That's cool. It's just we have to put on kind of our critical thinking glasses and understand what we're seeing and why we're seeing it. And with all that being said, let's get into today's video. All right, guys. So first things first, let's go ahead and take a look at DCP's video. I have some comments on some of the things he had said, and I had actually a really long discussion with my husband after the fact. And we had talked about, maybe she's doing this to kind of slip under the rug some of her income and stuff like that. Anyways, we'll get more into it. I think it's really important this is a really important video to watch. Not only did him and his mod do an amazing job compiling all of it, but we're going to look at it in terms of how it can be harmful to people, right, consuming this content, but how it's also potentially harmful for that influencer as well. And that's kind of where I see problems with what Alicia from Dougherty Dozen is doing, and the direction that she's going in, because she's at this point now where it's the only content getting views is the consume content. And I think that's really, really harmful for people, for her family, for her family's well-being and stuff like that. And I want to show how kind of digging yourself into a hole, especially in the pursuit of fame, can get you in a lot of trouble. And the fact that so many people are giving her so much of their social media currency and supporting this and encouraging this kind of behavior, it's all tied in together, right? It's all just bad news bears. That's it. So hopefully I got my display stuff working. Okay, so I've pulled up here Josh from the Dad Challenge podcast's YouTube channel video. I didn't bother downloading it. I'm re-recording this and don't have a whole lot of time, so we're just gonna watch it straight off of YouTube, because might as well give him the view. I think he did a good job and he deserves the view, and you should do the same. So My second display is over that way, so that's why I'm looking over there with you guys while we listen. Oop, what'd I do? Hold on, please. Okay, I don't know if it's going to pick up the audio. Okay, it should, but just in case, I'm gonna play it. So the audio on the video might be a little loud, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm gonna put it at 1.5 playback speed as well, because I like to listen to stuff sped up. He talks really fast though. It is pretty mind-blowing. Oh, I'm getting a call. Hello, good, how are you? Okay, we're back. Kids, man. Always getting calls for appointments for those guys, like.
And they would take all the things that were bought and create a cart for them on Waybiz or on Amazon or wherever.
This is crazy. That must have taken so much time. So much time.
It's not, when it comes to family vlogging, the amount of money that they bring in is the reason that they do it.
Yeah.
Any family vloggers out there trying to exploit their kids for purposes for the chomos, right?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I know that's a benefit they get from them.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the scary part. And the thing is when these people go from making very little money, or I'm pretty sure, if we're being realistic, like her and her husband were fine. Like they were living comfortably before the YouTube thing blew up, so to speak. And when they come into all this money and it's like, oh, all of a sudden, like I can afford to do this, or I can afford to buy this, or whatever the case may be, that's where the problem is. It turns into a bigger problem because they're influencers, right? So instead of coming into this money, which they'll never tell you how much money they make, which is fine, like it's their prerogative, that's private, right? But once they come into all this money, instead of, saying, hey, like this is what I did with my money this year, like I invested it, or I did this, or any type of anything, they just spend it and they show people that, this consumption, this consumerism is all we can do with our money, right? And then that turns into harmful behaviors because, they have influence over people, and it's just too much.
Views, and so they'll use that, but that's not their intention. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They don't do it on purpose.
No.
But they're not like, oh, you know what I want to do? Share my kids with predators. They're not doing that. And I don't think any of us would believe that. But they do make tons and tons and tons of money. There's a family vlogger right now, more like a TikToker, called Garza Crew. And I'm going to be covering her real soon, okay? And she's going viral because her daughters are into drunk elephant and skincare. We're like, we're influencers, and it's just crazy.
I don't remember if this is the same person that we saw when we did the Sephora Kids episode last week, and I haven't watched his video on that yet. But yeah, the moms and it's really yucky what she's doing, and she's full blown exploiting her child and riding this skincare grift. And we have cute kids, so let's put them on camera because it's gonna make us a bunch of money. It's just gross. It's yucky. It's so gross.
Okay, she gave that all up, so she would be a terrible ass person.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and we're also going to be doing a deep dive on the Basham family that we talked about in episode 1. I can't remember. The one where we looked at 4 families. If you look at them alone, jumping from 6,000 views to 100,000 views when they announce that they're pregnant, which there's some stuff about them that's like, they're really not good people. And I honestly cannot, I don't know why they have such a big following. I don't get it. And we're not talking about this, and I could go on a rant for forever about them because like I said, we're going to do a deep dive on it. Yeah, it's just, if you look at the views, it brings in all the money. It brings in all the everything. It's weird. But that being said, to a certain extent, I get it. I used to consume this content before I realized, oh, this is actually really gross. I'm a sucker. I'm a sap. I'm a baby nurse. I have babies. I love babies so much. That whole thing, how can I say this? It doesn't intrigue me, so to speak, but it elicits an emotional reaction in me. And it's kind of like that feel good, seeing those moms holding their babies for the first time after 9 months and after, it makes you feel good, right? But when I watched the Basham crew, when I watched her finding out she was pregnant video, the one that got the huge spike, the full length one though, not the short, the one that got the full spike, I was sitting there and I don't know much about these people, and I had zero feeling when she found out, if that makes sense. And it's a phenomenon called mirror neurons. It's a whole thing. We're going to talk about it when we talk about them. But yeah, I get it. I get why it brings in the views and why it brings in the everything, because I feel like people want to feel that happiness and that genuine connection with humanity. And to a certain extent, like, I get that, right? We, with the pandemic and everything, we've lost that human connection and that togetherness. And even just over the last like 50, 60, 70 years, we've lost the sense of community, the sense of togetherness, the sense of help each other. It's turned into every man for himself. So again, like, I understand why people consume this content. It's weird. And it's weird that there's such a huge spike in views and such a huge spike in like interest in it, but you know,
let's say this: some of them will make more money in a week than some people will make in a year. What's the average American U.S. income per year? Seriously, the median income is about $61,000. That makes a little bit more sense to me. I'm going for median. And so, if the median household makes $61,000, Alicia at some points in her channel, when it was at its peak, was pulling in hundreds of thousands a month, hundreds and hundreds of thousands. Now she no longer is there. Okay, not anymore.
Not even close. This is what I was talking about. It's now to the point where it's all she can do. It's all she has to offer, right? She's dug herself into a hole, and all she has to offer is this egregious spendature, this consumption, this overconsumption, this consumerism type mentality. That's all she has, because her other videos, the get ready with me, the mom routine, the whatever, it's not getting the views. Right? It's just not pulling in the views anymore. So what she's done to herself is dug herself into a hole where she has to spend more and more and more and get bigger and bigger and bigger.
2 days ago she got that. But pop over to making breakfast, 25,000 views. Okay? Mm-hmm. So the amount of views for when she was shopping. She has no choice now but to pivot over to just being a shopping vlog.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying earlier. There's nothing wrong with these shopping vlogs. There's nothing wrong with these hauls, with these this, that, right? Fundamentally, it's the comparison. It's us consuming and thinking like, oh, my pantry needs to look like that, or my fridge needs to look like that, or I didn't buy this, that, and the other thing this week. Like, that's what I need to do. And that's where it goes from just like, oh, this is what I'm doing, to harmful for people. But the pause screen. See, I got it too. I got the pause screen too. But the problem is with her is she's not getting the views anymore. Even her shopping videos, sure, it's getting 100,000. I think he said 100,000 views, but it's not getting the big views anymore. So when we think about that and the fact that it's the only thing getting her views, and it's not even that many views anymore, the only way she's going to survive, he says, is to pivot to solely a shopping vlog. The only way she's going to survive this is if she pivots to, here's a budget-friendly way. And I feel like she still can. Feeding my 11 kids on a budget and stuff like that. It doesn't have to stay this big, bold, over-the-top thing. People are speculating that she's doing it for the views, right? She's buying her kids so much junk and candy and soda and all this crap for the views, right? Because people are going to call her out on it. People are going to say, hey, this isn't okay. Like, can you feed your kids properly? Like, can you not give them donuts for breakfast every day? Like, this isn't okay. And if you're able to ignore the hate and stuff and get people talking about you, it's getting her paid, right?
57,000 views for the pantry video we just started up. 87,000 views for the shopping haul. Costco all 100,000 views. And then you go to one morning or two, 25,000 views. Everybody's here to watch shopping.
It's like a quarter. Yeah.
As a form of income.
Yeah.
What I think is happening is that she is using her business credit card to pay for all this as a business expense, which, you know what, I'm not a tax lawyer in New York State. A lot of people have reached out. Some people say, yeah, it's not right what she's doing. IRS will take a big wet bite out of her ass for what she's doing here.
I gotta close this window.
AdSense and all your money comes in from your ad reads and everything else goes into one big bank account. That bank account then pays out its employees, which is Alicia. Alicia's one of the employees. Josh is one of the employees. Likely every single one of her kids is registered as an employee. The reason they do that is so that they can pay those kids a small amount of money so that they get a tax exemption from it. Okay? Do those kids get the money? I doubt it.
Probably not. Let's be realistic.
The kids don't actually get paid. It's just a tax. And I'm not sure it's legal, but apparently it sort of is. Okay, so everybody does it. Okay, so here's probably, so I pulled this up. This is from
Well, I mean, because the only way they'd be able to prove it is to, prove it. Like, if these kids don't have RESPs, RRSPs, that's what they're called in Ontario, the Registered Education Plan or Retirement Plan. If they don't have those set up or bank accounts for themselves, it's super easy to prove that she's not paying them, because how can you? Do you have just like a jar of cash that you like? I think it doesn't make sense, right? So I feel like it is fairly easy to prove whether or not they're actually paying their kids or not. Right? Do the kids have bank accounts? But then on top of all of that, if she's paying her kids, I guess there'd be a certain threshold, but wouldn't she have to claim the income and do taxes for her kids too, if her kids were getting paid as employees for this business? And I doubt that's happening. I doubt that's happening too. Interesting.
Their wallet, and this is New York City's tax brackets. Okay, so you get taxed at for let's go from median between 13,000 and 80,000, which is about the median or normal income for a household. Okay, you get taxed at 5.5%. So in order to mitigate the taxes that you pay of your salary, you're going to take the lowest amount so that you pay the minimum amount of taxes, and then you take dividends from the money that's in your bank account. Okay, so every year you can take whatever you want to do. You do pay tax on dividends, but not as much as you would if you were making, say, this much money, 1 million to 5 million.
Mm-hmm.
9.65%. After you pay 71,000 of taxes, you pay 9.65% of the remainder over a certain amount. Right? Tax can get pretty complicated on purpose, and sometimes it pains me. My wife has.
Whoa. I didn't see this in the beginning. So she has to pay, if she made over $1 million to $5 million, she has to pay $71,000, $71,500 plus 9.5% of the amount over that. That's crazy. The amount of taxes that she would have to pay, because she did make over $1 million. She is in that tax bracket. And I don't think, and we'll get into this in a little bit, I don't think she has enough to write off what she doesn't have enough to write off to go down a tax bracket, even at that. I find it hard pressed to believe, with the amount of money she spent, that she also put away almost another $100,000 for taxes. No, there's no way. And she showed it all to us. She showed us the breakdown of every single thing. And if you're self-employed as well, which I feel like a lot would claim self-employment, but then again, it maybe not because of the business of the LLC. So I don't know.
Family vloggers spend money like this, like it's going out of style, like it's water. And then when everything collapses for them, they have nothing to show for it. Ace family.
Yeah.
One of the reasons people think Ace family are divorcing is because they're being sued into bankruptcy. And this is one way to mitigate it. I kid you not, that's one. Honestly, they never married to begin with. But some people are saying that's a benefit of what they're doing. Okay?
Yeah, and also, I don't know what the lawsuit is. Like, I know that I heard about this as well. I'm pretty sure that Austin McBroom from the Ace family is getting sued for some reason. So they're divorcing and putting everything in Catherine's name so that it doesn't whatever. But if they're suing like the Ace family or whatever the case may be, like, aren't they just going to go sue Catherine depending on what it was? Like, I mean, Austin's a POS and it's probably a contract with him, whatever. But if it's like that, I don't know that this divorce will save them from having to pay so much money. We'll see, I guess.
Okay? How many family vloggers have you followed over the years, and hopefully you don't anymore, who live such lavish lifestyles after the time you started following?
Yeah. And like, it's with all of them. And see, that's where I'm coming into this conversation is and it's not just family vloggers either. It's influencers as well. Influencers, once they start making money, they start spending money. A lot of it, crazy amounts of it, more than they could ever realistically afford, right? Just because the money's coming in, it doesn't mean it's a guaranteed income, especially on social media. Social media is very fickle. There's ups and downs. There's ebbs and flows of it. That's why people can't qualify to buy a house. Can't qualify for a mortgage because social media can't be proven income. That being said, people start following people because they're relatable, because they like them, because they vibe with them. And then all of a sudden, these people make all this money because they get this following because people like them and they change. But then people don't unsubscribe. People don't take back their social media currency. People keep supporting them because they're supporting the idea of what used to be, I feel. Or, you know, I've watched you this and that. I've watched your kids grow up, which is super creepy, stuff like that. But the content goes from being like relatable to completely unrelatable, unattainable. And I feel like it's because they feel like they constantly have to give more. And it's like, no, just keep doing you. Just keep being you. Yeah, sure. If you make money, get what you need. Spoil yourself a little. Go on a vacation, of course. Right? Everybody deserves that. It's we're going to move into a $2 million mansion, which I think he's going to mention with Bonnie Holine here. We're going to, you know, buy 6 Range Rovers and ATVs and, you know, a second property down south and this, that. It becomes so much. And it becomes consume. And I get it. People like watching people spend money, especially people who don't have money, which is a lot of people who watch these videos. But the problem is when you start comparing yourself and you start feeling less than because you're watching this person spend all this money. And then you think, I need to spend more money or I need to have that as well. And then we end up with the drunk elephant Sephora Kids debacle. We end up with, apparently there was a huge thing with the Stanley Cup. Right? Because influencers say, you need this, go buy it. It's helped me drink water. Like, no, it hasn't. Stop. Shut up. It's awful.
He moved into a giant mansion. Her sister is selling their mansion because I think they're going to collapse. They see their channel's collapsing. They're selling their mansion. Stormy Frankie's other sister. They're selling their mansion for $2.99 million.
See, and that's the thing. If influencers were smart and got accountants, which I guarantee Dougherty Dozen does not have an accountant, there's just no way she was able to write off as much as she might be trying to write off. There's no way. And I will tell you my thoughts after. If they had accountants and stuff, it would be fine. It would literally be fine. They would have things set up, and when their channel collapsed, like the Ace family, for example, they got evicted so many times. They've gotten kicked out. They're the biggest scammers on YouTube. Good God, those people suck. But if you look at them, had they put away any money at their peak, had Lush put away some money at her peak, they'd be laughing right now. But they're not. They're not putting anything away. And how do we know that? She told us. She told us they're not putting any away. So, or how much they weren't putting away.
These people all spend all their money, and then again, near the end, have nothing to show for it. And these kids are the ones that they made the money off of, and those kids don't get any benefit. How many kids do you see growing up on Instagram and on social media right now, who by the time they're 18, do you think these families are going to be making any money? And the money will be gone, and it won't be going into their bank account. That's the scariest part of this. These kids are all used for their emerging years, and companies will pay extra to use them in ads. And then it's all gone because these parents have started building up and living above their means. It is all gone when the channel explodes. So many people, so many children.
Yeah.
No plans. No.
And that too, right? We're going to get into how much she spent just on stuff. And afterwards, I was just thinking to myself, like, do you not think that maybe when your kids grow up and realize, hey, I don't need 2 iPhones, 3 Nintendo Switches, a PS5, and all this, I actually could use a retirement fund or an education fund. I want to go to college and have a college tuition paid for. Of course, a 10-year-old, you ask a 10-year-old, they're going to take a Nintendo Switch over a college tuition. Of course they are. They're 10. They don't make good decisions. That's why they have parents who need to make decisions for them, right? But do you not think that when these kids are adults and realize all the BS, that they're going to be like, wait a minute, where's my money? Wait a minute, we made all this money because you exploited me. Like, why don't I have a cut of it? Because family channels, they're on the out, right? You're not going to be allowed to show your kids on social media anymore, thank God. And you're not going to be allowed to give private details of your children on social media anymore. Again, thank goodness, because like it needs to stop, because it's gross. The exploitation is so gross and so lucrative and so predatory, which is, anyways. I genuinely think that these kids are going to grow up and absolutely hate their parents. If you look at the Duggars and what they're going through, and the daughters are now speaking out, I think it's Jill and Jessa, maybe, I don't know. And they're saying that there's nothing for them, that they've been struggling because it's all gone. And because of the way their religion works, their dad gets that money, basically, because he's the top of the family, he's the authority, right? So they haven't seen a single penny of it. They're struggling, right? They're lucky because people know them because they were on TV, and they're on social media now. So they're making money now, I'm sure, on social media. However, they should be living the life. They should be comfortable. They shouldn't have to work anymore because their entire childhood was exploited on national TV. It was one of the longest running shows on TLC, I'm pretty sure. It's going to be the same with these family vlogger kids as they start to age out. Sure, yeah, some of them are, yay, we get to go to Disney every other week. Yay, we get to do this. Yay, we get to do that. But when they're grown up and in the real world and realize how expensive everything is and how hard it is to live and make an income and survive in this world, and it's only going to get worse, let's be realistic, I think that they're going to look back at their parents and be like, yo, you made so much money. Why didn't I get any of it? Like, why am I struggling? What is happening here?
The brand's probably okay because they made the most. But if it's any issue like what the Ace family does, because the Ace family's rolling around in like Porsches and Range Rovers and have a mansion the size of a shopping mall, like these people are outside of their minds. Okay? But this is what happens. This is one of the scariest things of a family vlog. These kids don't see the benefit. Now,
no. And they never will.
They get all the shoes and all the gaming systems and everything else, but that's not going to help their future. It's actually going to be detrimental to their future. And then all the food that she buys, all the gross, disgusting stuff, the amount of money she spent, guys, I'm saying it right now. Alicia Dougherty could have bought a big, giant home, and we'll look it up here in this video, cash for the amount that she spent last year. She could have bought a home cash. But here's what she's doing. She's
it's crazy.
To pay herself and pay the bills. Because Josh also brings $100,000 a year, don't forget that. And she brings in money because she's a foster mom or whatever, an adopted mom. And she gets money for those kids up until they're 21. So just without YouTube, they're probably pulling in about $160,000 a year. Okay, it's a lot of money.
Which is crazy.
And it was sustaining it before this. But then the big money came along and everything changed.
But like at the same time, so $160K a year, that's a lot of money. And if you think about it in terms of a family of 4 or a family with like 3, maybe max 4 kids could survive pretty comfortably off of $160,000 income right now. Now they have 11 kids. So that's not enough money. Let's be realistic. That's not enough money. They probably spend $60,000 on groceries every 6 months. Just kidding. No, she spends a couple grand a week. I get how 160 grand might not be enough for such a big family. But the problem is when they come into all this extra money and then they start living above their means. They change their lifestyle completely and they start spending more. Just because you're making more doesn't mean you should be spending more. Now, I think that everyone should have enough money to live comfortably, to have their needs met. I don't think food scarcity should be a thing. I think it's gross that it's a thing. But enough money to pay your rent, pay your mortgage, food, heat, water, right? Everyone should have enough money to do that stuff comfortably and still be able to go out a little bit, socialize a little bit. But when you're making enough money to live comfortably and then you're living outside your means because you start making all this extra money, like that's a problem. That's a problem. Right? And what, again, we circle back, like what values are you teaching your children? You're teaching your children, again, that their value is linked to what they own. Their worth is dependent on what they own. If they don't have name brand shoes, you're less than. You know, if you don't have a PS5 and a Nintendo Switch, you're less than. What kind of values are these? It's just...
Okay, you're not the same person that we started following. I mean, you just don't drink alcohol on camera anymore. This is who she's become. Okay? And so she's now spending the money on vacations, which I think you can write off legally because it is for your video. You can't write that off. Your kids are consuming groceries. You can't write it off.
Okay.
You don't have portions of her house that you're using.
Oops.
But she uses her house.
Okay. So, for the food, here's what my husband and I were discussing. Alicia shows everything. Everything. She barely makes cuts. She barely edits her videos. It's garbage. It's boring and it's garbage. But she doesn't show her kids eating on camera, or very rarely will she show her kids eating on camera. Every once in a while when it's like a family meal, she'll show that. But these, what my 12 kids ate in a day, she lays it all out and pans over it, and very rarely do you see the kids actually eating it. You might see one kid eating one thing. Now, what my husband had said is if you don't see the kids consuming it, then it can be written off as a prop for her video. And that might be how she's writing off more of the food than she might be legally allowed to. And if you're buying groceries, I feel like if you're like, oh, what, I'm like grocery haul for my family of 11. I don't feel like, even though we don't see them eating a banana ever or anything like that, I don't think that since you said you're buying it for personal consumption, I don't think that you can write that off regardless of if it's seen as eaten or not. Now she can write off some of her time, the gas to get to the store, you know, some of her time shopping, maybe stuff like that. Like, I don't know. That's where we came across the, oh, maybe she's, you know, right, that maybe that's why we don't see the kids eat all the stuff. And then, you know, you see a big pile of bagels in the back that end up in the compost, which is a whole nother problem. The waste, disgusting. The waste that must come out of this house. And it breaks my heart.
Those for videos, so she probably writes off her mortgage. The van, apparently, which I think was gifted to them. That's what's been said by a neighbor. She has a video about how I don't think it was gifted, but my neighbor thinks it's gifted. I'm going to trust her. So the van was gifted to them. Okay, they've been gifted a lot of things. Okay, they got this producer that's going to give a TV show that didn't, is now like their crazy weird uncle. That's so weird. They get a lot of gifts too. You gotta write that stuff off. Gifts aren't just like thanks and walk away. You gotta write those things off too. You understand that? So what she's doing is she's bringing all this money. She's spending all this money on her business credit card, taking it out of her business account.
Do you have to claim a gift to write it off? And can you write off 100% of a gift? Because that too, like you have to write it off, which means you would have to claim it to be able to write it off. But is that for everything? Because if it's not like a gift of money, like if it's not like an income, I don't know. Interesting.
I'm saying this is what I think, okay? And so to that tune, she is literally avoiding tax. She is doing, in my opinion, she is doing tax evasion. That's what I think is going on in the house, because if
I think
she
so too.
Herself, what we saw in these expenditures here, she would pay so much money in tax.
Yeah.
No accountant worth her salt would be like, yeah, let's do this. So whatever accountant is giving her this advice, and I wonder if it's Sun Sky Entertainment's accountant. Okay, remember that guy. That's going to get a little bit shady, a little bit creepy, a little bit weird. And it's going to get a little bit dangerous for her and her children. Because if she gets...
Well, like, and how could you be so dumb to take tax advice from a guy who went to jail for tax fraud? Like, I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know how dumb you can be. Like, I don't know.
Could end up herself in jail. Don't forget, Josh's brother is a pretty high police officer in New York State too, so not sure that matters.
So I remember that last time I watched this. It doesn't matter. Tax evasion is federal law. It's not provincial or state law. So her brother-in-law, whatever, being a high up police officer, well, yeah, sure, get her out of the DUIs and out of the underage driving and stuff like that. But he won't be able to save her from the IRS. And that's the thing too. I was talking to my mom about this last week and just being like, oh my God, it's crazy. It's crazy. After I had watched this video, and she said, like, nah, she has to be claiming it because, like, you don't mess with the IRS. Like it's one of those things. You know, my mom worked for the Canadian government for her whole career. And so she's very smart. She knows some stuff. And she said, like, if you mess with the CRA, they'll call you and they'll be like, hey, can you, like, give us our money? Okay. But if you mess with the IRS, you're going to jail. She's like, you don't mess with the IRS. She'd be dumb to do so. I'm like, well, I don't know. When you guys see how much.
So this is what's going on. Are you guys ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what she spent. Now this one is from January 1st of 2023 to January 1st, 2024. 8 pages of expenses. And this is Alicia flexing. Like, she is so stupid.
Flexing.
Proof of it on the internet. All of these videos have been downloaded, Alicia, so you can delete them if you want. It's okay. We have them. Cool. So if you see Alicia going on a deleting spree for some reason, we have the videos. They're not going anywhere. We got them. Okay. So let's take a look. Wegmans, first week of January, $1,900. Wegmans, $1,100.
In 1 week. Okay. Go watch this video if you want to see the full breakdown. But I want to jump ahead.
So Bree's 12th birthday was $2,300. Isn't that crazy that Josh's birthday is $11,000, James' birthday is $16,000, and then Bree's birthday is $2,300? Same. Alex's birthday.
But there's no favoritism. Don't worry, guys. She loves all her 11 kids equally. There's favoritism.
$3,600. The birthdays. Costco haul, $1,100. Okay, $50,000 she spent at Wegmans. $50,000.
$50,000. $50,000 at a grocery store in 1 year. That is, I don't know. I don't know what that is. How much do I spend at a grocery store? I'm curious. Welcome to my brain. So for my family of 6, we spend about $8,000 a year on groceries. Another family of 11, so we can add a couple more grand to that, right? If we, divide this by 6 people, about $1,200 a year each, and we'll increase that. We'll say like $1,300 a year each, right? And that's just at Wegmans. So if we say $1,300 per person times 11 people times, that was per year. That's only $14,000. And she spent $50,000 at one grocery store in 1 year. So again, this comes back to this like buy, consume, this overconsumption, it's gross.
$10,500 at Costco, $10,700. I'm actually surprised that low. Target $7,300 and at Amazon, $33,000. There's no BJ's here, and I'm sure that's in here. Okay, it just wasn't. He went BJ's a lot. So there you go. Then I asked my beavers to do Christmas last year because I really wanted it from Christmas to Christmas. Okay, and so as of last year, the total Christmas was $73,745. Christmas was almost $100,000.
Okay, now I'm all for spoiling your kids at Christmas, but $73,000. What? Let's take a sneaky peeky here. Hold on, what was that exact number? Okay, 73,745. 73,745 divided by, was N still with them last Christmas? I think she was, so we'll do divided by 12. She spent, if this is like equally divided, she spent over $6,000 on each person for Christmas. I'm sorry, but come on. So again, what are we teaching our children with this kind of mentality? And like the people who consume this content, they are not rich people. So they see this and you can hope that they don't take it, internalize it and take it personally. But like, I couldn't even imagine. We spoil our kids at Christmas and it makes my head hurt.
And so as of last year, the total Christmas was $73,745. Christmas was almost $100,000 last year. And look at it. If you're wondering if it's accurate, look at the links. And again, what MB did here. Beavers covered every single penny she spent to the tune of 73. Remember, each kid got a new iPhone. Mm-hmm. That's insane. So
brand new. And them too, I think. She did. Ew, she had a straw in the coffee pot. Like, stop it. You're so funny. You can drink a pot of coffee straight from the pot. Like.
Anyway, so she goes on to show us everything, every penny. Now, the only things I took from this list are the things that wouldn't be listed in my Beavers Units page. Okay? Like there's month bills. Like I didn't put Amazon purchases here. I didn't put her credit card bills.
Oh, okay. So they do have retirement funds. Well, at least there's that. At least they have a retirement fund. Loan consolidation. The monthly payment on a loan consolidation is $1,200. Like, what's PayPal? Why $350 a month for PayPal? Does PayPal have a subscription? Cap One, Kohl's, Lowe's, Target. I'm so confused about PayPal. Target, bed, haircuts. $200 a month on haircuts. Karate, music lessons. Horseback riding. Dance. Church. $23 whole to the church. R and F. I don't know what that is. Personal assistant. Cool. Grubhub takeout.
None of that stuff I put in this list. And here's that list.
We said for the year. Okay. Water, septic, garbage, internet, cell phones, pets, truck, van, copay, counseling, student loan, insurance, retirement, TV loan consolidations. Yeah, I don't see any like education fund for, your children. PayPal, like $4,200 a year for PayPal. Like I don't understand what that is. I don't understand.
Student loans, 600. Insurance, retirement. Here's a big one. Loans consolidation, $14,000 a year, $15,000 a year. That's her loan. That's how much debt that they have. Isn't that insane? Prime, 300 a haircut. So PayPal, 4,200. Karate is $5,300 a year. Music lessons are $13,000 a year. Who's teaching your kids? Beethoven? For real. Personal assistant, $12,000 a year. This is what she wrote down, everybody. And so her bills are $211,000.
Also, that poor personal assistant, like this lady rang. Could you imagine? I hope she works like an hour a week at that pay. But could you imagine being this chick's personal assistant and like she's watching her spend the grand total, which she's about to reveal here, which is nuts. Watching her spend that much money and like have that much outgoing expenses and making 12 grand a year. Like, cool. Pay your people.
Now, that all sounds brilliant. But Alicia recently went on video, and I have to show it to you because I want to show you how I do this, just so you guys can actually see yourself too. I guess I've given her a review. But in this video here, where she's rapping, the one that she tried to copyright strike me for, now I understand why she tried to copyright strike me. It's because she said this.
Like, this septic sewer issue for forever. And we're going to the sewer system. That was our main business. It was $100,000 sewer hooked up.
$100,000 sewer hooked up with the merc face. So, taking everything that she has shown us, and we're not making any guesses here. This is things she said or has shown us. Okay, so you can't blame us for like getting it wrong or taking guesses because we didn't. This is Alicia flexing on everybody about how much she spends because that's a big part of it. People are looking for that receipt at the end. They want to know how much she spent. It's a part of the reason people watch those videos. It's a train wreck, and they want to see someone spend money that they can't spend. People love to watch people spend money. People love to spend money. It really is a thing. People love to watch people spend money. They do.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. Everybody shopping online, buying expensive things, East Family, all these people who buy these expensive cars and stuff. People are jealous. Of course they are, but they also want to watch it. Okay, so Alicia did all this.
Yeah. To a certain extent, like there's people who like want to watch people spend money and enjoy that kind of content, but there's also people who are just purely hate watching, which again, you're still giving them your social media currency. You're still paying them even if you hate watch them. So instead you should go to videos like this where he blind reacts and exposes the lies or exposes the videos, and he's not the only commentator who does this. Go to people like them. Come here. Watch the videos, don't give them the view, or there's another way to do it. I think it's YouTube, like it's YEW. I don't know what it is, but that doesn't give them the view, right? So be careful. Even hate watching is still paying them, and they're not going to get obliterated off of the social media platform until they're ghosted. That's the only way to cancel something.
Don't forget, she's in competition with a bunch of people that she used to be friends with, other family vloggers. And she wants to be top of the top, number one for the rest of her life. And this is her way of just throwing shade at people. Look at what I did. So, all that being said, let's add up for the total, because I can't remember. $211,079. Those are her yearly bills.
Bills. Yo, that is nuts to me. Like, we're a low-income family, okay? I'll admit it. But the thought of my bills being $200,000, like, I don't even ever see myself seeing $200,000 in a year. Could you imagine if that was your bill expense? Just your bills? Good God. And the 6,000, the 6,000, 1,200, other way around. $612,000 was stuff, including food, but stuff, tangible items. She spent $612,000 on junk and food, which was also mostly junk. It's crazy.
Grand total, $923,616.93.
Almost $1 million. Spent almost $1 million that she spent. And so she told us a little bit there, a little bit of a retirement fund, which was nothing. It was nothing in the grand scheme of things. Could have put away a couple more bucks for yours and your husband's retirement fund. And there was no mention of like any savings plans for the kids, any education plans, which if she did put that away and just didn't say it, which she said everything else, why wouldn't she say that? Why wouldn't she flex about how she's taking such good care of her kids and setting her kids up for a successful future, right? Why wouldn't she flex about that if she did it? But if she did, that means that the outgoing cost is even higher, probably closer to like $950,000, $960,000 versus $923,000. So that's even more money that you gotta claim.
So round it up, Alyssa Dougherty spent $924,000 in 1 year.
In 1 year.
By her words and her receipts, $900,000. Now, there are people out there who guess $3 million, $1.2 million, but those who are in the millions, we're not that far off.
No.
That is insane. The amount of money she spent last year, I mean, imagine she put that away for her children and gave them what they were owed, put it away for their futures.
Yeah, my guess, when I had originally, before I watched this and everything, he put a poll up, and my guess was, I thought she would have spent, $500,000-$600,000, and I was right. It was $623,000 or whatever. I just forgot about, the bills and stuff on top of that. Because I wasn't calculating that. I was calculating just like junk that she bought.
That she purchased with this money is actually heartbreaking because there's nothing to show for it.
Nothing.
You can't sell those $1,000 to years if they need money in the future. You can't sell the garbage that she buys and throws in the garbage afterwards.
No.
They can't get back the crazy amount of money they spent on junk food. None of that's, it's only that's in their arteries. Like, they can't get back anything.
No.
None of this is returnable. The house that they have was purchased before all this YouTube money. Okay, and it's not purchased. They still have to pay tons of money for this house. $40,000 a year they spend. Their mortgage is super expensive. And so, what could she have done with this? She could have been smarter. Yeah, she could have done money. She could have bought a house cash. So here's what I want to do. I don't know.
All right, go watch the rest of his video, because he goes through a little bit of like, oh, this is what she could have bought. This is the whole shebang. But we're gonna stop there, and then why is that on my For You page? What are these algorithms? I need to get off of this. Okay. Sorry. I just went to the first one because it was, I don't understand what was happening on my For You page. Oh yeah, but look at this. This is one of the trending ones. Replying. Okay, we're not going to go into the Sephora kids. It's going to make me angry again. Okay. But if we go here and we look at, let's say, Restock videos, like these types of videos, they are so unreal. Oops. Sorry, I didn't know that was going to do a thing. They're so unrealistic. I want a candy drawer. I mean, not going to lie. Like, yo, I would. I totally would. What were those? What were those? That was weird. But if you just like, oh my gosh, it keeps going. That was just the candy drawer. But like, look, if you just think about it, nobody actually has this. Nobody has a full candy drawer right beside their fridge, I'm assuming. And that's where you have to be careful when you consume this content. You have to remember, this isn't real life. This is what this creator does to make money, okay? And that's perfectly okay. It's her prerogative. She makes money doing it. Good for you, girl. Hopefully she makes money doing it. She doesn't spend more than she makes, like some people we might have just watched. But the problem with this type of content and it being so rampant is you start to compare yourself. Don't drink this stuff. Restocking my fridge. And that too, to a certain extent, decanting everything, which she's doing now, taking it out of one jug, pouring it into another jug. It's not real life. You don't have to do that. The plastic juice jug was perfectly fine. Okay? You don't need to do all of this. You don't. And I get it. I get the satisfaction of everything being uniform, but it's not realistic. People don't do this every day. They do it because it's satisfying. They do it because it gets them views. People with kids, people who go to the grocery store, they're not coming home and taking 8 hours to put away their groceries. No, you're coming home and you're throwing everything that's perishable in the fridge and cooking lunch for everyone because everybody's starving. Like nobody decants their bacon. Let's be realistic. I don't. Why? Like, that's weird. That's weird. Why does she have a thing specifically for bacon? Why? Why? She put those bottles in the fridge. What? Plastic's not allowed in your fridge? It's discrimination. But you see what I mean? Sure, cool. It's pretty and it's so satisfying and stuff. But what we have to remember is that these people are doing it because they're getting paid. Never forget that. Because you, me, regular plebs of the world, we don't need our fridges to look like this. We need food in our fridge and we need food in our kids' bellies or our own. We don't need to decant everything. It's not realistic. And for some people, it's very unrealistic depending on what your organization style is and what your clutter style is, which is a whole nother can of worms. But it's not realistic. You don't have to come home and take everything out of the boxes. You don't have to come home and pour your juice from one jug to another. You don't have to do this stuff. And please just remember that when you're consuming this content, if you do consume this content. A lot of the times it's giving you content and showing off products so that they can make money. See, we'll link my containers on Amazon. All these containers right here that you see, if you go and purchase them, she makes money. And they play on that. And that's okay because it's how she makes money, right? There's nothing fundamentally wrong with that, right? But it's being transparent about it. And there's zero transparency on social media. They show you what they want you to see. They show off and stack all these containers because they want you to see all these containers and see what you can do and see how beautiful and satisfying it can look and how beautiful it's set up and all this stuff to make money. It's great marketing. It's great. This is very great marketing. But nobody's fridge looks like that. Nobody in real life. And the only reason her fridge looks like that is because she took the 2 hours to film and do it. And that's okay because it's how she makes her money. Does that make sense? So it's not this 2 hours extra of stuff, this 2 hours extra work, this 2 hours extra decanting. And it's not. It's what she does for her job. She has the 2 hours allotted to restocking her fridge so she can get paid, so she can push these containers on Amazon and get paid. It's not time wasted for her. But for you and me who consume this content with, let's say blindly consume this content and then go look at our fridge. I mean, I'm not even going to show you my fridge. My fridge is a disaster zone. I have 4 kids, man. Like it's World War III in my fridge right now with leftovers and sippy cups and the whole everything. It's just a disaster, right? It's not real life because the everyday average person doesn't have time to do this. And that's okay. That's okay. It just needs to be functional for you. Now, it doesn't mean that it needs to be dirty. It doesn't mean that it needs to be disorganized, but it doesn't have to look like, which way is it? Sorry, I'm off. Like this. It doesn't have to look like this. It doesn't. And it doesn't make you less than if your fridge doesn't look like this. You're perfectly fine. I promise. I was going to say, maybe I'll show you my fridge to make you feel better, but I'm not going to show you my fridge because it needs a clean and I'm embarrassed about it. But then the other thing that my eyes were, this ice drawers. Like, who has an ice drawer? This is crazy. Finally, all stocked up. So look, she's pulling out this isn't real life, guys. It's not. Taking the time to chop up and make all these ice cubes filled with all this stuff. Those are big ice cubes. Oh my God. With all this stuff, the little tongs, all the different shapes. All ice trays are on my Amazon under Ice Essentials. It's all about money, guys. Oh, it's the roses. Oh, they're so pretty. Oh my gosh, there's more. Why is there more? There's too much ice. It's so funny because, and the scoops and everything, because we have no ice in our freezer right now. And my kids constantly say, where's the ice? Where's the ice cube trays? To which I say to them, I don't use the ice. If you would like ice and empty the ice container, the ice tray, then you must fill it up again and put it back in the freezer. Otherwise, there's never going to be ice in the freezer because I'm not picking up the slack. I don't use ice cubes. I want to fill the ice cube tray and put it back in the freezer. Not that there's any room in our freezer, which is also a disaster. All this to say, videos like this where they The second comment there. This is the kind of rich I want to be. Exactly. Exactly. You have to remember when you're consuming social media that it's not real life. It's what they want you to show. And oftentimes there's a financial motive behind whatever they're telling you, whatever they're doing. Don't always take things at face value. So with all that being said, guys, that's all I got for you today. Please be careful where you're spending your social media currency, and just really think critically about what this person is trying to show you, what they're trying to portray, what they're trying to display, and question everything. Don't just blindly follow people, because it's turning into a problem for our mental health. These influencers who are pushing all this stuff, who are making people feel less than because they don't have all this stuff or because they can't do these things. It's rough. It's a rough world, and it's not okay. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know down in the comments who you'd like me to cover next. I'm starting to get some suggestions of people to cover, but there's so many problematic people. I'm seeing that TikTok is quite problematic. Whew, it's a jungle gym out there. It's wild. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day, and I will speak to you all soon. Bye.